just kidding. He's still not looking. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday, October 17th in Council Chambers. Yes. He's just not listening to me. Oh my God, it's like being married. All right, that's great. The first thing I'd like to do is call this meeting to order, and as I do that, I just want to welcome our new CAO, James Thackeray, who's joining us online. James, we're very grateful to have you joining us today. I'm not too sure where you're joining us from, and I just wondered if you could say hello. It's the greatest thing about Zoom. You can have any interior decor you wish. Great, and I understand that you'll be joining.
For that minute.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. And I understand that you're going to be joining the council official or the district officially on Monday. Is that correct?
I'll be there this weekend.
All right, that's terrific. Well, we're looking forward to having you here in the community, and we're grateful to have you at this meeting. There's a couple of items on the agenda that we'll be referring to you for your input. So glad that you are here. At the same time, just before we get to item 2, I also just want to say thank you to Ms. Yankio for being with us and helping us through the summer and just guiding us through various processes. And I know that I've learned a great deal from you, and I know that we've enjoyed having you as part of the team, and we hope that you will always consider us a friend. And to that, on behalf of Mayor and Council, we just wanted to just give you a very, very small gesture of our appreciation for what you've done and the support you've extended to us. So with those introductions, I would also like to say that today we are very, very fortunate to be gathering together on the unceded territory of the Secwepemc, who have been caretakers of this land since time immemorial. I am always amazed at just how this area continues to grow and the influence that we have, and how fortunate we are to have the neighbors that we do and the stewardship that they share with us. With that, moving to item number 3, are there any introduction of late items? Oh, good news. The mayor's not here, so I have one. Actually, it was forgotten, and so if I could add to item number under item number 16, new business 16.4, if we could add council discussion on volunteer brunch for December. So that's 16.5. Thank you. Yep. So with that, if I can get the adoption of the agenda motion. Moved by Councillor Frizzle, seconded by Councillor Matheson. All in favor? Great, thank you. Is there any declaration of no conflict of interest or pecuniary interest? No, that's great. Do we have the good fortune of having Area A Director with us this afternoon?
We do not at this time.
Okay, great. We have no delegations and presentations. We're going to move right along to the minutes of the regular council meeting held October the 3rd. Council, there's a recommendation before you.
I recommend that they be passed.
Oh,
as
all right.
presented.
Blah, 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 blah. Great that the council minutes, meeting minutes of October the 3rd be presented. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Herring seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Great, thank you. No adoption of minutes of committees, develop and zoning, moving to unfinished business, reconsideration of tabled items. There are none. Deferred item. We now move to the strategic plan presentation. I'm going to ask Ms. Yankio to start us off with this discussion, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I feel like a bit of an imposter because I was not here for this process, but this file has been given to me to carry forward into new administration. So I have worked together with the consultant who assisted you with your strategic plan development, we went back and forth a bit on just the look and the feel of the strategic plan. And then I worked very closely with staff and your previous CAO in the development of the corporate implementation plan. There are two sides of one coin. One is council's intention, council's vision. One is the implementation of what that looks and feels like when it hits the ground. And we hope that council enjoys debating the strategic plan as it's presented.
Great, thank you very much for that history, because you're right, it's had a number of different authors on it. Council, I look to you for any input that you would like to share at this point in time. Councillor Herring?
Yeah, I think for me, I do like seeing what we have here. I enjoyed the read through. There was one minor just grammatical point that I would love to correct though on page 29. It's page 4 of the document. It says lay the foundations for a future permanent location. I just don't want to be on the hook for actually building a foundation for our next building. So if we could just reword that.
Oh, yeah.
It's 29.
On deliverables.
Yeah. It's just a wording thing. It's probably silly, but you know.
Councillor Matheson, any comments from yourself?
No, I agree that needs to be changed somehow to get away from the lay of the foundations. I don't know what that wording would be. Examine,
Okay, it's
search
okay.
for,
That's
whatever.
we're not going to
but
go
yeah.
too far into the weeds. We're going to point noted. Councillor Frizzle, any comments from you? Councillor Bratton?
It looks good. We kind of had a couple discussions, I think, of, I like the leading with intention, mention, and I like the leading with intention. If we could, is this for us to
It's just
adjust,
we're gonna
or
just
do we
we're
like-
gonna
is
just do
this a
some
draft?
high level. Yeah, there is a motion or there is a recommendation if we wanted to approve it, but
Right.
it is our strategic plan.
Yeah.
So I wanted to. We didn't do a lot of touch base last time.
Yeah.
So we can do a light touch base, high level right now. It's to get some feedback, and then I have a couple of comments, but I'd like to hear from Councillor Frizzle first. If you're complete, or
Yeah.
if there was a few more things you'd like
Nope.
to say.
Go ahead.
Okay, I agree. I think it's the leading thing should be leading with intention. By doing less better is sort of an internal statement, not an external statement. That's what I feel with that one. And I also, under Meet Your Council, there was this whole, what we didn't want to do. And I think that needs to come out, and we'll just put down what we want to do. That's what I see. Oh yeah, page. I think we're seeing a lot of strategic area focus, and I agree with your strategic word. It's everywhere. We need to take out a few words.
Right.
That's so that basically. I mean, this is all very minor stuff. I think. Just take out the strategic area focus on every page and just put down like strategic direction, strong, stable, and healthy organization. That's what we need. And our goal and our initiative and actions. Sort of what I saw.
Great. So, Mr. Thackeray, I don't know if you wanted to lend in. Mr. Thackeray and I, we had a conversation this afternoon, and I asked for his thoughts because he's going to be joining the team as we move forward. And he had a couple of comments. I'll lead with some of the ones that I thought, yeah, let's consider that. The first one was, is there a way to get this down to a document of 2 pages? And there probably is. The second thing is that there's some content in there that might draw council a bit too far into the weeds, and it might be left to be more operational. And his suggestion was, you know what? It's not quite final. You have some input. There are some things. Why don't we just move this to a committee meeting and just really hash that out a little bit more and get it to the point where we all go, this is what we stand behind.
Yep.
Mr. Thackeray, anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. My comments, and I think, are really just about to try and help council make sure that they can get behind what they want to say and make sure they understand what they want to say, and at a strategic level, and then we can move into the other stuff as part of that, and how to get those things going, and how to use those. And a really important thing I think, and I'd like to just discuss this with council, is their long-term financial planning. And I was delighted to see the Director of Finance is already moving towards that, and I think there's some great thinking there. So I think to be able to show how we can fund it, how we can, the capacity of the organization to deliver on it is pretty critical. And I don't think it has to be a big complicated piece of work either.
Great.
So my recommendation would be for council just to do a small workshop, bring in a bit of food, and to just land and see if we can sculpt this, get this down to I'd like, just as you said, there are still a few little things that people want to clarify, and I think that's a good thing to do. It's better to do it right than to adopt it and go, gee whiz, I'm not sure. So that would be my recommendation.
Great. I think that that's really valuable feedback, and I think that that lands with what each of us are saying. It has been touched by a number of different authors, and it is council's document, so this will give us that opportunity to work with our new CAO, move it forward, and I think that one of the things I enjoyed hearing from Mr. Thackeray is how this will tie into Ms. Klassen's work with the long-term financial plan. And I really liked how we discussed it, is that, if we can keep creating circles, almost like wheels of the train, is that we will move forward. And we do so in harmony and having that vision. So I'm excited. So based on the recommendation of Mr. Thackeray to workshop this in the next little while, I'd entertain a motion from somebody if they wanted to proceed with that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we arrange a workshop for council down the road and revisit and reshape and
Do we need to come up with a date?
We'll leave that to staff.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Is there any, did you get that seconded by Councillor Frizzle? Yeah, okay, great. Is there any discussion on that motion? No. Great. All those in favor? Super, thank you. And thank you very much for the input that you had, Mr. Thackeray, and also Ms. Yankew and all the work that was done. I'm excited that this document is getting to the point where we can all stand firmly behind it and with pride. Great. All right. So moving next, we'll move into reports. I will extend regrets from Mayor Blackwell. He's been caught with a serious illness that took him by surprise, and I know that he would have liked to have attended, but he is not here. And he didn't have the opportunity to send me his report. So I will move on to council reports, and I'll start with you, Councillor Matheson.
not a lot to report today. I did do the MC at Evergreen Acres for their official opening for the foyers 4 and 5. And it was pretty well attended by a lot of people. It was a good little event. And I did show up briefly for the Wells Gray Tourism and Valley Pride event. Unfortunately, I was just kind of still a little bit under the weather, so I only lasted about an hour. But it looked like I was really, really impressed with what was put on down there. It was a really amazing little event. So, yeah, well done, everybody.
Great, thank you, and thank you very much for attending Evergreen Acres. That's just a tremendous asset to our community, and nice to be able to celebrate them. Councillor Bratton.
I did not prepare my report, but I have a couple things to say. I was actually with the seniors building. I wasn't able to attend the naming of it there, the dedication, but I was able to attend I did attend a memorial service, and that building is very nice. They've done a fantastic job, and the seniors, I think they very much appreciate it, and it's a little revenue stream for them because they can rent it out. So for this venue, it has a full kitchen and a great place to everybody connect, and it was very nice. I had something else. That's why you write things down. This weekend I had a witches paddle. That was a private thing that I did, but it was very well received. We had 30 witches on the water on Dutch Lake, and we raised $170 for a community dinner that Councillor Sim does do on her time, and so I thought get the ball rolling on that, and everybody just loved it. So hopefully we have a few more events that way. I have other things, but that's where my brain landed.
Great, thank you. Well, we'll loop back to you. And Councillor Frizzle.
Thank you. I also attended the grand opening of Stage 4 and 5 and the opening of the Senior Center. And it's quite the center because they opened it up to make it a big room, but it can be divided so that there's a gallery on one side, and in many cases it's the sit and be fit section where they do their exercises there. So yeah, so and it was well attended. Lots of people have really enjoyed it. Really good food too, I must say. So I also attended the community staff party. It was an amazing success. There was so many people there. They were out at the bonfire. They were out dancing. They were out playing games. They were eating food. It was just an amazing event. Everybody had a really good time, and it showed. And all the comments are made. It was a really good community coming together and just having fun. I was visiting with people I hadn't visited with in a long time, so that was really nice. And I just wanted to report on this special event Saturday bus that went until September 30th. And it was, I think, fairly successful. We had 144 people use the bus on those Saturdays, which is equaled out to 28.5 per month. So that's about 7 people on the bus on the Saturday. Noting that there was 3 days that the bus was not available because there was no driver, and another day that there was no passengers. But other than that, I thought it was very well utilized. And in August and September, there was 8, 9, 10 people that were using it at a time. So I think it was catching on. So of course now it's off. But I think it was a successful event. So I'm glad we did that. So that's my report.
Great, thank you very much. Councillor Herring.
For me, it's been a relatively quiet couple weeks since I got back from UBCM. I've been pretty much all out adjusting to a new role. So the only thing that has come up is lots of the conversations in the community about development and sort of building and approvals. Really exciting that this has suddenly become a focus of interest for a huge chunk of the community. So hopefully we can talk about it more and discuss it. But I want to thank the district staff for dealing with what's been a rough week in terms of online dialogue. And I'm sure you guys have been privy to it or maybe had to deal with it in person. So yeah. It's too bad the way some of those conversations have unfolded. That being said, hopefully we can use the opportunity to educate people about how development processes work and how we can work together to build here.
Great, thank you. And I think we can all echo the comments about thanks to the staff. It took a lot of time to develop some of those timelines and to develop sort of that history so that we're able to look back on and record things factually in the order that they occurred. So thank you for that. Councillor Bratton, did you think of anything else?
I was going to comment about the Valley Pride Wells Gray, Tourism Wells Gray staff party. It was fantastically attended and it was a great time. And all the kids that came, it was good.
Great.
Well done.
So on that, so October 3rd, kick things off for the CSS boys soccer this weekend that they are going to Okanagan's, trying to compete for a space in the provincials. Last weekend they were in Hope, where they won the tournament for the second time in a row. They've got a tremendous coaching staff who's been really deliberate about their goals. It's a very Ted Lasso environment, so it's quite exciting for that. And I bring that up is because one of the challenges that's being faced within SD 73, if not, beyond, is the shortage of bus drivers and the impact that that's having on some of the ability to transfer to extracurricular activities. So should the boys be able to get a position in provincials, and it's a slim chance because they've reduced the spots from 5 to 3, if they are not able to get a bus, their transportation costs will actually triple. And so I share that in the spirit and the fact that when our teams have gone before, the district has come forward with some financial support, just noting that being in a rural community, it is difficult, and that access for transportation makes it that much harder. That bus transportation was felt on October 4th with the Dan Coleman Classic that was organized up at Kendall Creek Trails. That was with Raft River. It was so beautiful. So many people had the opportunity to come up from Kamloops. Again, there was supposed to be 6 schools coming up, but with bus drivers canceling sick, only 2 schools were able to come, and that's because they were able to scramble and get parent drivers. But all the parents that came, they were absolutely in awe of the infrastructure that's up there, and many people saying, we want to come back for the cross-country skiing. I had a conversation with Heidi Schilling from Interior Health. There are going to be some strains on some of the nursing staff. IH is releasing a video, and she is looking for some partnerships within the community for some recruitment. So maybe council could put their eye towards reviving the recruitment and having some discussions to help it on the local landscape. Our physicians are currently writing their final exams this week, so that's very exciting for them. That gives them a whole new opportunity within Canada. And we have a new physician who's going to be arriving in the spring of 2025 that we've just had word for, which is on the water. Thank you very, very much. That was fun. Like, everybody just had a great time. It was unusual. Wayne's only comment was, and where are the Warlocks? So, two. Thank God. That I will let him know that that's it. And certainly, thank you for kickstarting the fundraising for the community Christmas dinner. Last year we fed over 400 people, and we aim to do the same this year. Chamber of Commerce, that event is coming up this Friday. We've got some tickets for council if they would like. Is anybody able to go, interested in going?
I'm unable. I'm away this weekend.
Okay, great. Councillor Frizzle, do you want to get back to me? Okay. And Mr. Thackeray, I was wondering if you were going to be arriving in time for Friday or not. It might be a nice opportunity to meet some of the people in the community.
This Friday? No, I won't be.
I know, it was a bit tight. I just wanted you to know we were thinking of you.
Sorry.
So,
Thank you. My wife and I are delighted, and Smudge, my dog.
great. All right. Well, anyway, the event starts at 5:30 at the ski hill. And just to hit on the comments from Councillor Herring, is I appreciated the mayor's comments that he had shared about where are we going in terms of development. And I just want to stress a couple of the things that he had highlighted on, is that James Thackeray has hit the ground running, and he has reached out to a couple of development engineers. He's going to be putting a heavy onus on the grant-funded economic development officer in terms of development, so I think that that's important. The announcement from the provincial government on short-term rentals is going to have an effect on some of the development. And I appreciated the comment by the mayor that he made that we will need to be cautious that spending on infrastructure doesn't get too far ahead of actual home construction. And lastly is that, by working and developing partnerships with our developers, we're going to get a clear vision of what's possible moving forward. But it will be a partnership, and it will be a team effort. And in closing, the mayor said it perfectly. We need more housing in Clearwater. I think that that's what we're looking for. We will start needing to have conversations about the difference between housing and affordable housing.
That's my
Because
Yes.
those are important differentiations and what that means. And what we have seen online is that the community is willing to engage. And so when we had our conversations and the invitations for Well 3, we didn't see a huge turnout from the community. I'm excited that this opportunity is the invitation to the community to say, how do you want to grow forward? So with that, I think thank you very much for the reports, unless anybody else has something final to add. Okay. Is it time for a break yet? There's more. All right. So moving on to 15.1, we have the CAO monthly report for September and the interim wrap-up. Ms. Yankew, is there anything you'd like to add to this, or?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not at the moment, unless council has any questions.
Any comments, any feedback on that? Other to say, it's always nice to see succinctly where the district has been going. And, you know, for people who are always wondering, what does the district do? These reports are an important storyline. And it gives you an idea of all the different moving pieces that are there. And sometimes you make the assumptions of, you know, it's just what you see in the hallway when there is a breadth of activity and important work being done beforehand. So I appreciate the time that you took to do this summary. Moving on to new business, we've got some staff reports. 16.1, the contract award 2021 Resiliency Investment Program, fuel management. Who will be speaking to this? Mr. Mike Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Sim. My report starts on page 37, so my first one there. So fuel management contract. This goes back to 2021 when we got the one Community Resiliency Investment Program grant to treat Sunshine Valley and to do the prescriptions for Dunn Lake Road and Sunshine Valley. Fast forward to today, we've developed the RFP, had the site visit or site viewing and received 2 bids. Under financial implications on page 38, there's the 2 bids. As you can see, one is substantially higher than the other. That company's from out of town. So we're recommending that we award to Mac River for $178,000 to treat about 17 or 18 hectares out by the gun range.
Great, thank you very much. I also want to thank you very much for the report, both of them. I'll say it in advance. Clear, concise, easy to follow. Like, really great. Thank you. Could follow along. With
you.
that, though, it's super clear, super concise, but is there anything that council would like to ask of Mr. Smith? Yeah. Councillor Frizzle.
Where exactly are you doing this?
Burnell Forest Service Road. So to the side of the gun range and then up towards the power lines.
Great. Any other questions from council? I do have one. I'm seeing that the amount is 178 and yet that there is the 231. Did we use the difference last year, or is that giving us a balance to use towards this coming summer?
No, so when we originally applied for the grant, that piece of property is about 50 hectares, and there's a few hectares of untreatable once we did the actual prescription because it's too steep. So it brought it down, the area to treat brought it down to about 18 hectares. So that's where the balance is. There's also funds in there for the contractor work, like the RFP to design the prescriptions and to do the site check afterwards and stuff. Like it's all itemized in the grant like that. So once we do this, the grant will be over. If there's excess money, then we can't use it.
So if there's excess money, we can't use it, or
No, it's.
I don't think I understand that.
So, yeah, so when we originally wrote it, we thought it was 35
I see. So
hectares.
if there's a balance left over, we can't say, oh, and we'd like to add this, this, and this.
No.
So no swag, no nothing.
Sorry, no.
No, I love our firefighters, nothing.
No.
No. Okay, it is what it is. All right, great. Thank you very much for that. With that, there is a recommendation, council.
I'll move recommendation 1.
Okay, just to confirm, option number 1, that council award the fuel management treatment work on Sunshine Valley unit to Mac River Enterprises in the amount of $178,000 to be funded from the 2021 Community Resiliency Investment Program Fire Smart Community Funding and Supports Grant. Seconder? Okay, Councillor Frizzer, I'm glad we did that. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Second one, the Community Emergency Prepared Fund. I think, Mr. Smith, that's you as well?
Thank you again, Mayor Sim. So this one, there's a new grant. The deadline is October 20th under the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund for volunteer fire departments for equipment and training. So page
39?
41 lists the equipment that the fire department would like to apply for. So for our SCBA, we would like 6 extra bottles to go along with the 24 that are currently in inventory. An intake valve for engine 5, it never came with one when we purchased it. A few shipping containers to add to our live fire usage, and then a fire blanket. So it's a new item that fire departments are using to, when they come to a car fire, a vehicle fire, they can put over top of it and snuff it out, basically, right? So less water, less,
Oh, neat.
you know, less resources required to put the fire out.
Great. Any questions? Councillor Frizzle?
With that fire blanket, can it be used multiple times?
They say 6 to 7 times.
6 to 7.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is pretty decent for.
Seems so
I was expecting-
inexpensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
exactly.
expecting you to say we could use it only once, so.
Yeah, no,
Councillor Matheson?
Just curious, is that used on battery fires as well?
it can be. Yeah, yeah. Any type of fire.
Thank you.
Any questions from over here? Councillor Bratton?
The intake valve, is that to bring water onto the truck, or what's that for?
Yeah, bring it on board. So on
And
the
it didn't
truck,
come with
there's
one?
usually 2 intake valves on them, one on each side.
Yeah.
But when we bought that truck from the township of Langley in 2019, I believe it was, the way they built it, they didn't put one on the left-hand side.
Oh, I
And we
see.
found that we want to use it on the left-hand side now, so
It would
we
be
just-
handy.
it would be handy to
Yeah.
make it more versatile.
Okay, great. Well, with that, again, the report was so well written and thoughtful, and it looks like there's some really good items here, and I hope you're successful with it, Council. There is some recommendations. Move it by option number 1, seconded by Councillor Frizzle. Option 1, council directs staff to complete an application and submit to the UBCM Community Emergency Prepared Fund for the volunteer and composite fire departments equipment and training 2023 stream for a maximum of $30,000. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 16.3, appointment of auditor for 2023. Ms. Klassen.
Good afternoon, Acting Mayor Sim and Council. Today, providing a report to you just to appoint the auditor for the 2023 auditing year, annual occurrence for the District of Clearwater. We have had a long-term relationship with BDO, and they've always been courteous and they've been professional, and we've been able to pass our audits, and it's been appropriately done. And then the reason I am recommending to go along with BDO again this year is this year we have a new accounting standard called Asset Retirement Obligation. It's one of our initiatives that we've been working on. And the current auditor has already begun some work on that ahead of the audit. So it would behoove us to continue with that work with BDO. All audit findings will be presented to council, and that's about all the highlights I have. Any questions?
Great. Questions?
How many years have we used them? Forever?
2011.
Yeah,
Okay.
quite a
Okay.
few years.
It's been a lot.
Yeah.
Councillor Frizzle.
So you're recommending that we continue with them because they started helping you with this, whatever you say.
ARO standard.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we would have to go out to market. It's a significant contract.
okay.
Councillor Herring, anything from you? Councillor Matheson? Great. Thank you very much, and thanks for making the summary and drawing our attention to the fact that we do need to be looking forward, but at the same time being prudent now. And I just really want to draw everybody's attention to the fact that, you know, the work that you've already started is, you know, fulfilling one of those strategic goals, which is, you know, becoming more efficient. And I want to thank you very much for that work and starting it. With that, Council, recommendations. Councillor Matheson, going again.
Motion for option number 1.
Option number 1, I'm looking over here, seconded by Councillor Herring. Option number 1, that Council appoint BDO Canada as the District of Clearwater External Auditor for the 2023 financial year, and that the Mayor and Chief Administrative Officer are hereby authorized to execute the necessary documents. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so a new game called Minute Corrections for item 16.4. Ms. Yanku, would you like to speak to this and guide us through this?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Sim. is really confusing. We inadvertently ended up with a resolution that was passed at the July 21st meeting, placed on the minutes of the July 16th meeting in place of a resolution that should have been at the July 16th meeting.
July.
So the minutes have been approved. We will be bringing back corrected minutes for approval due to staff absence and lack of skill on my part in being able to figure out how to maintain correct resolution numbers in a program that automatically establishes resolution numbers whenever you make a change. We weren't able to have corrected minutes available for council to approve. However, in order to process the financial piece of this, we need this resolution, which has already been passed, included on the minutes. We are not asking for approval of a resolution. These resolutions have been made. We're simply asking approval for council to say that this resolution should be included on the August 16th meeting minutes so that we can proceed with the financial piece. Those meeting minutes will be brought forward. The recordings of the meetings verify all of these resolutions. We have done that background work. It's the fact that there are not corrected minutes for council to approve is solely on my lack of skill in managing iCompass.
Great, thank you very much for that, and I think we'll just use this as an opportunity to say, Mr. Prime, you were always missed when you were not here. Please know that you are integral to our survival. So are there any questions? I got a bit muddled because I couldn't even find the July 21st. That was a special meeting.
I got really confused on this one.
So that's the special meeting. So it is all, in fact, it's just that without that proper numbering, everything that we've done for all the resolutions are incorrect. So this is a way that we can get back on track. Have I summarized that correctly, Ms. Yankew? Yeah, okay. So super. Now with this I've got two here. Do I need to do two separate motions, or do you think that they can be encompassed as the one? I just want for procedure.
If they were, sorry, pardon me. If there were two separate resolutions, that would be better.
Okay, that's great.
Page are you on?
There's only one resolution.
Oh. I am on page 3. What do you want?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go over here. Because I'm a little confused.
Oh, Councillor Frizzle, yeah.
Can I ask a question? Because the recommendation is that council rescind the approval of the minutes of July 11th. But if we do that, will that not eliminate the recommendations that we approved?
Ms. Yankew.
No, when council makes a resolution, there is authority to act on those resolutions. This is simply approval of the minutes.
Okay, okay. Gotcha. Okay, just wanted to make sure that that didn't.
No, it's an excellent question, and it's a good procedure one. Councillor Herring, you fine?
So then the first recommendation would be that we rescind the approval of the minutes of July 11th, 2023. Am I understanding that correctly?
Acting Mayor, that is correct.
Okay, so you're making that motion?
Yes.
Terrific, and is it seconded by Councillor Bratton? Any discussion on that? Great, all those in favor? All right, and then the second part, who would like to go forward with that?
I'll do it again.
Okay, you go.
Council approve amending the following in the minutes, which will be brought forward at a future meeting, and that's the removal of Resolution 192, 2023, and the addition of the Resolution 193.2, 2023.
All right, before I get a seconder, Mr. Prime, does that meet what you need?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, great. Do I have a seconder on that? Councillor Bratton, any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Tidy it up. Bills can be paid. We're in good form now. Turning the page, we're going to move to bylaws. This is... Oh, right. Oh, that's my item too, isn't it? Yeah.
It's been a reminder, Lynn. We could have dodged that bullet.
No, I got an eye on the time. Don't you worry. So this was something that we've talked about last year. We held the community volunteer brunch. The district had done that on the first weekend of December. And my question for council was if we wanted to do that again. Now, my thought for doing something like that, I have felt that our RC Recreation, Culture and Events department has been really successful with their Culture Month. And what they did is they took a variety of community events, were able to bring them under the umbrella, and we had this dynamic opportunity for people. And I think the attendance has been great. So with the idea of doing the community brunch, Friday the Ski Hill is having their market. Saturday is the food bank concert, Sunday the volunteer brunch, and then Sunday night is the Rotary tree light up. So it creates kind of a nice kickoff to the winter season. We haven't discussed or budgeted for the brunch this year, and I don't know what the flavor of council is, and I thought I would bring it forward because if it's something that council would like, we'd have to find a way to resource that. Councillor Frizzle.
I kind of remember from last year that December was the month that we didn't want to do it again. I know you're bunching it now into like a weekend, and that's good, but I do remember that conversation.
Yeah, and to answer that was we did have it, and then what we did find was actually what people liked is the reprieve. We were surprised at how comfortable and how happy people were.
Yeah, it was a good event.
And that they moved on. I think that where we didn't want to do it was the trade show component of it. So that's why I'm suggesting we just do, a brunch at that time. But my recollection was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a lot of very relaxed conversation and people kind of breathed into it. But it was attending the afternoon part that was the taxing.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, the brunch part was the successful part, for sure. That's where everybody got together.
Yeah, anyway, good feedback there. That's what this is all about.
So, sorry.
Yeah,
if I
no,
may.
Councillor Herring.
Yeah. Like the planning of the event aside, like what we're asking from council right now is if we'll put money towards this event.
Money, and then we would have to get back to staff to see if it could be resourced by our team.
So yeah, indirect money as well, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like essentially staff resources. And is there any other community partners who might be better suited to facilitate this event?
Well, Councillor Matheson?
Yeah, I think I kind of share the same concerns. I'm all for thanking and awarding and recognizing volunteers in our community. I'm just wondering if it's the role of council to do that, and maybe there is another community partner that could take over that role. We seem to be going into the weeds with the stuff, and in our discussions with the strategic plan and everything else, we want to get back to the basics of governing and taking the load off staff. And I'm torn. I'd like to recognize the volunteers, but I think that there should be another agency or another group within the community that could come on board and take that task on. We could maybe support it financially in some way. I guess that's up for discussion. The other thing too is the timing on the weekend. I know the last time we had it, it was successful. People were and it was the end of the COVID. It was kind of the coming out party. And I think that contributed a lot to the success. And I know this weekend coming, or that particular weekend, I'm involved in just about every aspect of it. And to tell you the truth, the volunteers that we would be honoring are going to be working their butts off on that weekend, doing all the other volunteerism. Yeah, so I'm kind of questioning if it's the best time to also throw another thing on their shoulder, come and show up and be recognized. I don't know, I've got mixed feelings on it. One side of me wants to recognize it, and the other side goes, we need to bring other people into this.
Councillor Bratton?
I agree with you to a certain degree. I also think us as a council is kind of nice to recognize community members that have given back to the community so graciously. I like the idea of bringing on or asking a group that could do it, and I don't know, possibly Valley Pride is so keen but then we would be recognizing them. So I don't know how you go about that. That's where I'm stuck. If you ask someone to take it on to be able to thank volunteers in the community, but they're volunteering. I'm kind of stuck there.
So why don't we break this down before we go too far? Is that what we could do is financially, is that something that council would like to do? Just let's not get hung up on the date or anything like that, but a volunteer recognition brunch. Would it be something that council would like to fund?
Personally, I would like to as a person on council, I would be in support of that. Is your heart set on the time of year?
So for me, and Councillor Matheson, to your point, is we have a recreation, culture, and events department. And I know that they do heavily things on the recreation, but we don't have a lot for the events, with the exception of Canada Day. This, to me, is, without that trade show component, could be something. In my mind, the breakdown would be invitations and organizing the caterer. And then I would be very happy to do all the setup, all the table setting, all the takedown, absolutely everything else, because I recognize it's not fair to move that download. And I feel passionate about it, and I like doing it.
Yeah.
And I'll speak for me.
Sorry, James just had one moment, Your Worship.
Mr. Thackeray, thank you.
Yes, I don't want to be a wet blanket, but as a point of order, council ought to have a resolution on the floor before engaging in debate and discussion.
Oh.
Again, not trying to be a wet blanket.
No, and to that, because I think we'd like to get to the point of having the resolution, but I think that before a resolution is getting the understanding of it. Or do you think that just...
Understood.
Yeah.
I can take it offline. It's okay.
No, that's okay, because it's good to get the practice and procedure down.
So we need to make a resolution to discuss it? Is that
Well, if I may, in order to move anything, council has a role to make a decision, and so if there's an item that you want to, then you can engage in a discussion, and then if you want to vote on the resolution, somebody can call the question, and then you have a decision. And if you don't, if you want to refer it to committee or do something else, that's okay too. Or you can just move for discussion, I suppose.
So I will make a motion for council to look to spending up to $3,500 for a volunteer brunch at some time in the next 6 months.
I would second that if it works. Yeah.
Discussion on the motion. Councillor Herring.
For me, I think I won't support this, and I think not because I don't want to recognize volunteers. I think they do tremendous work in the community. I just don't know that this is a position for the district to be in, rather than something that could be done with an organization like the Chamber of Commerce or like another partner organization where we could maybe contribute some funds towards it, but perhaps not spend district resources on it. That's my
Okay,
take.
so I just want to be clear on what you've just said. So you said where we could fund it, but then not resource it. So is funding money and resourcing is time?
I would say contribute resources, as in be a co-funder rather than be the person who entirely funds, puts on
Okay.
staff resources.
Okay. Councillor Matheson?
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same line. It's I can see us supporting it financially. I would like to see another organization or group of people step up to actually run it and do it, rather than sourcing from the district. And I think it just gets back to our original conversations from a few months ago about, staying in our core function and focusing on that before we get involved in anything else. I really want to support the idea of the dinner. I think the timing could be a little different, maybe in January, February, but yeah, I can see financially supporting it.
So just to be clear what I've heard, because it's a brunch, the motion was for within the next 6 months, and you've just said that you would be favorable. Is that for the funding of it? Okay. So there is a motion on it. Is there any? What's the motion? Mr. Prime?
Yes, Your Worship. The motion, as I believe was worded, was that council approves spending up to $3,500 for a volunteer brunch within 6 months.
Do we need to add if there's room within the timelines for staff? No, because you've already offered that this could be something you could, no, that's okay.
I think we'll call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.
I think so.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item.
Why is that so quiet?
Acting Mayor Sim, there wasn't a funding source identified. Because you have a time frame that may or may not be within this budget cycle, you should perhaps identify a funding source.
So my funding source would be council contingency, which I believe we do have available.
Do we?
Yes, we do have $3,500 available for 2023. But if that is agreed upon by council, then we could use that. Or we could put it in the 2024 budget.
Mr. Prime, does the, given the fact that it could cross over into different fiscals, would you like to have the motion rescinded and then we move forward? No? Ms. Yankiu?
Madam Mayor, I would suggest simply a second motion.
Second motion. Great, thank you very much. I make the motion that the funding for the volunteer brunch be extended from council contingency. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bratton, discussion? Councillor Frizzle?
The whole thing is just to have the discussion if it's going to actually happen. It's not happening.
Oh.
It's just a discussion. Yeah, okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Great, thank you very much. Motion carries. Now we get to move on. Have we dotted our I's and T's and crossed and everything? Thank you very much. I appreciate that guidance. I know, it's gonna be great. All right, where does that leave us? Oh, now we get to go to the bylaws. All right. Yes, Ms. Yankiu.
I am so sorry.
Oh.
Acting Mayor Sim. Once again, my lack of skill in iCompass is evident here.
Oh.
We truly miss Mr. Alsted when he is not at work. Inadvertently, the original cover report has been added. I believe that was simply due to something called not republishing on my part. I have an updated report for council because council did approve first and second readings of that bylaw at the past meeting.
What does that mean?
Thank you very much. Oh, we've got some questions. Councillor Herring.
Yeah, I just, I missed the last one, so I wanted to clarify. The changes in sections F and G from stormwater management plan is required and sediment control plan is required to maybe. What is the trigger for maybe?
It's the same thing.
It would be discretionary. The approving officer would consider things like the size of the development. Right now, a single-family home needs to develop a stormwater management plan and an erosion and sediment control plan, and they can be quite expensive. The approving officer looks at the topography of the land, the type of, maybe a, sorry, what's the, any reports that have been generated on
So I
Your
think
technical report. Thank you.
So if I understand this, and I think from the answer, because the same question had been asked, is that why that this is a really positive move forward, and it's in response to some of the criticisms that have been levied at the district, is that right now what we have in place is arduous and expensive. Whereas a person of reason would look and go, wait, that is so sandy, that doesn't need any of that. That's not necessary. So this actually, to your point, triggers a more fluid application process. Have I summarized that?
Yes, thank you. You're much more articulate than I am. I just wanted to add that the approving officer the district hires is an approving officer for a number of municipalities within the TNRD area and a little broader region. And he has commented quite frequently on the difficulties of our development bylaws. So relative to other development bylaws that he enacts, he's a careful individual, and I would trust that he would not apply this much too broadly, that he would apply this discretionary piece with care.
Yes, and again, I think it's just to stress that this will certainly further. Mr. Thackeray, did you have something to add to this?
No, just getting over a cold.
Okay, all right, just checking there. So does that answer your question, Councillor Herring?
It does, and I think like anything that makes this process easier is great. I think that the worry for me is less that it's going to be not applied when it needs to be, but that there is potential for it to be applied when it doesn't need to be, right? And currently, we've got so it's blanket being applied even if it doesn't need to be applied. Now, I'm wondering why maybe, is there a standard document that would identify if geotechnical report indicates this, or if, certain conditions exist? And it's not that I want to make the process more complicated, it's that we have to make sure we're fairly applying something like this so that somebody can't say, approving officer doesn't like this project, or,
Doesn't like me.
Not that would happen, but it could happen, right? And therefore you need a stormwater plan. Property next door, same conditions, didn't need a stormwater plan, right? And then the same goes if we were to change approving officers over the course of a few years. I know in my own experience, I've heard lots of stories where somebody develops, a year later their next door neighbor develops, two different sets of rules, two different processes, two different fees, all sorts of things happen, and that's right here within the district. So that stuff does happen. So I'm just curious, do we have a set list of conditions for maybe?
I could ask the approving officer what sort of thresholds and triggers might flip the maybe to an is, or the is to a maybe.
So if I can summarize, because we did have this for all the same reasons, is that maybe is that discretionary word, and it can be a very positive experience, or it could be a negative experience. And without having that, from what I do understand is that our document is 131 pages and clunky. And so this was being intended to be amended, given our current situation, but that there was going to, and Mr. Thackeray, maybe you can weigh in on what you've spoken with the mayor, but there was going to be an overhaul of that larger document, recognizing it's been piecemealed and it needs to be modernized. Mr. Thackeray, any comments on that, or maybe too soon?
Yeah, I think I don't want to prejudge everything because I haven't read the whole document. As you just said, it is 132 pages long. That said, there are some things it could use a refresh, and I think what's really important is that the bylaws speak well to each other, and I think that's where some work needs to be done. And this happens; it's common. It just things evolve, and you just have to keep refreshing your legislation, and that's okay. We're certainly going to be on that as a priority.
Great, thank you very much for that feedback. Councillor Herring, any other questions that follow along that same vein that you've got? Anything else that stands out for you? If I'm right in summarizing your thoughts, is that it's a trigger that it could be for the force of evil or for the force of good. And it's really having a lot of trust in the process and finding a way to be consistent.
Yeah, and that's it. Just, it's less that I think we need the bylaw to state this. I was more curious, do we have this trigger in place, how is this determined, right? That's the main takeaway for me is I need to learn more about this because I think some of this, you know, we don't need to have as many plants as we do. So it would be great to remove them, but I also don't want to increase our risk because as we've seen with lots of things shared around the province, anytime you take away a hurdle on these projects, you increase the potential for something to be missed.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Are there any other comments from council?
I think I just have one.
Councillor Bratton.
I am with the maybe in there, and this is for down the road. If there is just a straightforward checklist, you know, if you're doing this, then that would trigger that, and if you do this, that would trigger that. Keep it straight, simple, sweet.
Great. And so from what I understand,
we
that there will
implement
be a
them.
larger
Yes.
overhaul. And
That's what it
this is
sounded
just
like.
for that it's and I think Ms. Yankew, if you could just confirm this, and I think you've said it, is that right now the way it's written is it's causing some challenges for people and it's holding things up.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
So we have had first and second reading. The intention would be if council will to go for third reading. Am I right? What is the will of council?
I
Great. Do I have a seconder on that? I'll go with Councillor Bratton. Any discussion before we make a vote on this? Any further discussion?
as long as it's going to move us forward.
Okay,
That's my
great.
little bit.
All those in favor? Thank you. Now we go to the third reading. Just a minute, I have to. I know, I was just gonna lean on you for your assistance now, so hang on. Where does that get us to? What page? 61, here we go. Okay.
What page?
61.
Okay. All right, District of Clearwater, bylaw number 286, year 2023, a bylaw to amend bylaw 168, 2017, subdivision and development servicing standard. Whereas Section 137 of the Community Charter provides that the power to adopt a bylaw includes the power to amend or repeal it. And whereas the Council of the District of Clearwater wishes to amend bylaw 168. Now therefore, the Council of the District of Clearwater, in an open meeting assembled, enacts as follows. This bylaw may be cited as the bylaw 286-2023 amendment to bylaw 168, 2017, subdivision and development servicing standards. Are we good? It feels fairly anticlimactic. And that's it? Ah. Okay, staff, is there anything more you need on that? Because bylaws always scare me, so
Yeah.
all right. Perfect. Okay, so great work, everybody. That takes us down to Committee of the Whole, where we have none. Correspondence, we're required nothing. Correspondence information only. We have an email from CN regarding the pest management plan. Any comments on that?
The full-on track length spray of Roundup, as I understand it. So, yeah, totally. Already the North Thompson has quite high levels of Roundup in the water, just like every other waterway in BC. And for CN's convenience, they're going to be spraying a bunch more.
Councillor Herring, is there any response that you would like to see back or anything? Or
We've responded in the past. It's their preferred method, and that's the way it will continue for them, as we've heard. But just like to bring it up every time and point out that that's what it is. That's Roundup, the whole track.
I think you've raised a really important point, and I don't think we've actually had a meeting with CN.
I think we brought it up.
With CN? When a long, long time ago, though.
Would have been the C2C in Little Fort about 4 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good thing to keep on our radar there. Moving on, we have no notice of motions. Any questions or comments from the public? Well, that's really good feedback, and that really supports what we've been sharing out in public meetings, is that the procurement for the paving has held up a number of projects from around the district, so it's really great that we were getting caught up and that it's being recognized and acknowledged by the public, so thank you. Smooth sailing, that is fantastic. Great, we have no in camera, and so we could adjourn. I know. Motion? Great. And the recommendation that the October 17th meeting be adjourned. Great.
Wow.
Okay, go team. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support. And again, Ms. Yentu, thank you very, very much for all that you've done. And Mr. Thackeray, we are looking forward to having you next week.
Have a good day, night.
It said staff were hired, like, is it like arena